Good evening. Welcome finally to the potting shed. Hello there, we're finally here. Yeah, a bit mad, and I must convey my apologies for everything that went on last week. But I'm here now, finally, and well, I hope you're going to enjoy the show. Got a heck of a lot of things to cover. But before I go anywhere else, I really want to talk a little about the potting shed. As you'll remember, there was a competition to name the show, because I honestly didn't have a clue. The winning suggestion came from Magic Dragon, who won this Big Daddy Little Mama tank set. Now, I have been in touch with Magic Dragon, and he's very kindly decided to donate this as a raffle prize to Canvit. So I've been in touch with Rusty, and I'll get this to Rusty as soon as I can. And hopefully some lucky bidder out there will enjoy this tank. Right, you'll have to forgive me. First show, few nerves, bit of a vape. Okay, right. As I said, I've got quite a few things to cover tonight, and a few videos to show. But I think the first thing I want to cover it stems from a conversation I had with Daz at Safer Six a little while ago. And we were talking in a Google Hangout, I think it was, and he highlighted that he was a little worried because there's quite a lot of different counterfeit goods knocking about, and we get it all the time. You see it on the markets, and unfortunately you're also starting to see it now in vaping. For those who don't know, Daz sells a product called the Bud Atomizer, the Bud Sapphire Atomizer, and it basically looks like this. It's all quite familiar. I personally love these, and I'm always ordering them. Daz actually sent me a bag containing 4 of these, and as you'll see, there's one there. And if I hold up the first one, there's very little difference. I'm actually going to switch now to microcam. I've actually got 2 cameras running. Can you believe it? Okay, right. This is the oh gosh, fingers. Right. This is the one in the polythene bag, and as you see, it's the same style tip, similar sort of thread, and this is the sort that I normally get. Now, if I put the 2 side by side, immediately you'll be able to see a couple of differences if I can get this thing in line properly. Now, it's not so evident in shot, but when you see these in real life, these plastics are actually slightly different. I think this bottom one you see is a bit milkier than this one. But to the layman, these look identical. The tips look almost identical. The threads look almost identical. If I can get that, you can tell I've not practiced this bit. Yeah? One of these is a fake. Now I'll show you the main ways to tell the difference between these. I'll take the lid off the first one, and there's the filler cap. Okay? And if I do the same with the second one, now the second one, this one, is a genuine Bud Sapphire Atomizer, and I think in part the name was derived because of this little bud type nodule kind of thingy. But to hold the two together, and you can see they're very, very different. Okay. The other differences as well, if I go to the mouthpieces, now I have to be careful which way I put them down there. But this one here is a genuine, and this one here is the fake. Now, can you tell the difference? One's got a slightly larger aperture, and the other one's actually got, is that a registered symbol on there? I can't quite make that out. But this one is the genuine one. This is the genuine article. Okay, I'll put the genuine one back onto the genuine bud. Don't want to get those confused. And that one back onto there. Now the other difference, and this is only very slight, so you've got to keep your eye out. Now this one's fake. Okay, and that looks fine. This one is the genuine one, and if you look at the two, there are slight differences between the two of them. Okay, now the main reason that this was brought to my attention was because there's been quite a few people who've been reporting bad experiences with buds. Now, sure, that's fair enough if you know, you've been using a genuine bud atomizer or cartomizer, whatever you want to call them. I'll stick with the name as bud atomizer. But it's fair enough. If you've had a bad experience and it's been the genuine article, fine. But if you've had one of the fakes, you might be getting the wrong impression about the product. So what I've done is I've set up a genuine bud and one of the counterfeit buds with exactly the same juice, similarly powered devices. This one's probably, the GG Slim is probably a little less power than the Ego battery here. If I take a toot from the GG, no, I've got here Arctic Honey. Sorry, Hi-Fi, I do occasionally smoke things with menthol in them. That's actually quite nice. But in the fake bud, while it produces a little more vapour in that case, but I put that down to the differences in the voltages, it actually has a very plasticky taste to it. So all I'm saying, I mean, we all know that there are clone products going about. It's just the way it seems to be the way of the world at the moment. But if just wanted to put that out so people could tell the difference between a genuine and a fake or clone bud, and that way you'll know if you're having the best experience. I don't want to go into accusations or anything like that. All I know is that, as far as I've been able to tell, the only person who's selling buds at the moment is Daz. Now, I could be wrong. If I'm wrong, I'm sure somebody out there will tell me. But there you have it. Anyway, enough of my gassing. I've got now the start of a little bit of a feature. I'm going to try and do one of these at each show. I don't know if I'll be successful doing it. But there's a certain, it's not really a mod, but it's really cheap, and if people are looking for nicotine replacement, it's something that they do come across, and it has been known to put a few people off. I came across these a few years ago, but let's have a quick look at this and well, see what you think. I'm here today to talk to you about lookalike e-cigs. If you're a regular viewer of Vapor Trails, you'll know that we believe they have a real part to play in providing smokers with a real choice. Some lookalikes don't do that at all. Introducing the Crafeaway the true non-alternative. Smokeless and menthol. It's completely rubbish. So, what satisfaction can you get from a Crayfaway? In this segment, I'm going to show you. Well, there's bonfire night. So, we take one Crayfaway and one solar explosion. Oops. Sorry the footage was a bit dark. It couldn't be avoided in a dark alley. So, the Crayfaway, the solar explosion. Who won? These are the bits of the Crayfaway that I found. Am I satisfied? Oh yes. Well, I think I might find a few extra uses for the Crayfaway in time. However, I'm always open to suggestions. So, you know, PM me at UK Vapors, or if you see me in chat, talk to me in chat. And I bought a stack of these. I need to get rid of them. Well, it keeps me amused anyway. Well, I've crikey, still got quite a few things to go through, and I'm storming through them at the moment. I think it's time for some trailers coming up shortly. So not just yet, but oh no, you know what? Let's do it. As it was so good last week, I think we'll start with this. Of course, I really did mean the other Dave, who helped me a lot. Although Dave K did help quite a bit as well. I mean, we were doing a lot to and fro in last week. So, on the subject of the other Dave, here's this.
Good evening, everybody.
Hey up, are you alright? We'll be right there. Put a silly hat on.
And good evening, one and all, New York. questions coming in already.
Yes, going live in 3, 2, 1. Pardon me, please.
Yeah, sorry about that. There is a, oh gosh, echo as well. See, I do have technical problems. Turn that off. Right, sorry about that. I'm still getting used to things, and I've discovered that if I click anywhere that I'm not supposed to click, things repeat. So apologies there. I'll rerun Dave's trailers later. Sorry, Dave. Right. Well, I'm going to give you all a quick warning now. I've got a big feature coming up shortly, so make sure you've got drinks and popcorn at the ready. I'm not going to allow you a toilet break, especially not you, Willow. No, I'm joking. I hope you're not in the corner. There's no corner tonight. Anybody in the corner shouldn't be there. But yeah, I've got a longish feature coming up shortly. But I thought I'd look at a little bit of vape mail stuff that I've received this week. Start first of all with this. This is a Delrin Mantis that I got from Graham at Cyan Mods. As you see, it's got a light show. It's yeah, I really like that actually. It's for me using it. It feels very much like a silver bullet, but square. No problems at all with it. I'll give a proper review on it. I've only had this a couple of days, so I will do a proper look at it later on. But received that, so really chuffed with that. Did receive this, but I didn't receive it this week. I received it last week. It's the Genesis line. I don't know if anybody caught the review I did of it recently on YouTube. It's a Genesis style atomizer, and it's incredible. I keep saying that it is. This is going to feature a little bit in coming shows, primarily because I want to take you through, tutorials. Setting up the Genesis style atomizers is a slightly different process than what you're used to, and with these, because they use a stainless steel wick, there's a couple of tricks that you need to be aware of setting them up. And once you're aware of it, you can set one up really easily. I mean, you can see how much vapor that's kicking off there. Fantastic pieces of kit. Really, really good. I don't want to get into too much depth now, because if I do, I'll end up overrunning and then I'll be lynched. Right. Have you got your popcorn and your drinks ready? Well, I may seem to recall that in the VT talk I did a couple of weeks ago, I talked about an atomizer where you might want to do a bit pricey, so you might want to look at a different way of caring for them, so to speak. Now, I've done a bit of a video. It is a little long, so I've pre-warned you. And if you don't like the sound of my voice, just mute it. No, joking. Please don't. Please, Willow, stop it. Anyway, I'll let the video speak for itself. Speak soon.
Hi. Today I want to talk to you about this. The Rockstar from Rock Universal. Well, that was the plan anyway. I really like this device. Really nice flavour, good throat hit with the strength of juices that I use. Great. As my first impressions were quite positive, I thought, well, I'll do one of my 24-hour challenges with it and see how things go. I did run into one slight problem though. The kit comes with 2 batteries, 2 atomizers, 2 chambers. Perfect. Just what you need. Now bear in mind that I'm not what you might call a light user. I average more or less around 10 ml of juice a day. So imagine my surprise when after 7 ml the first atomizer wimped out. Okay, maybe I'm just using it a bit hard, vaping a bit too much, perhaps chain vaping a little too much. So give the second atomizer a try, take it a little easy, see how it goes. Sadly, the second atomizer after 3 ml wimped out. So 2 atomizers. One day, not a great start. So I decided to take a look at the cost of spares. And the Rockstar, it's a nice device. It's a new device. The atomizer is a new style of atomizer. So I wasn't kidding myself. It's a specialised atomizer. You're only going to get it from one place. There's no other atomizer that looks like it or will fit that chamber. So I wasn't expecting it to be cheap. And in fairness, it was about the price I expected. The atomizers are $9.99 each at Rock Universal. You can buy a complete replacement kit, atomizer, chamber and tips. I don't think it includes the pen lid, and that's £15. And it's not bad. I mean, I've seen, Andy from Vapor Mists, obviously that's, it's lasted him well. And I've heard from other people that they're lasting them well. So maybe I was a bit unlucky. But for me, $9.99 an atomizer, I don't want to risk buying another atomizer, having the same problem. 2 atomizers in a day, that's 20 quid at the end of the day for me. So what do you do? I mean, you can see it produces a lovely amount of vapour. It's got great flavour on it. It's a shame to waste the experience. Just a minute, didn't I just say that I went through 2 atomizers in a day and I didn't buy any more? But this one's working alright. Guess what I've been doing? So here we are, we're in my kitchen, and this is where I tend to make a mess. Easily cleaned there. So, the Rockstar. Now, if you know who I am, and you know what I'm into, you're probably having an educated guess as to what I've been doing. So, let's have a look at the way that the Rockstar atomizer is constructed and see what we can do about this wimping out. Right. Now, I took a look at this, and I don't know if you can really see on camera, but this top section, there's a seam that goes all the way around. Now, that to me looked like a press fit. So, let's see if it is. Take a pair of pliers. Now, don't squeeze, just hold it firmly, wiggle. No, that's firmly in place, so I need to use something a little firmer. I've got a vise in the back, I'm not going to bring that into shot, so just bear with me. So I've had this in the vise. You could really just have used 2 pairs of pliers, 1 pair of pliers holding here, the other pair of pliers holding this top section here, and just gently teasing this one out in a circular motion. You have to be careful not to squeeze, because what you don't want to do is you don't want to damage this section here around the top, because that forms a watertight seal with the tube on the inside of the chamber. So that's the top section, and there's the coil and the wick assembly. Now, considering that this only had, I mean, this is the atomizer that had 3mm go through it, and you can see the wick's not in too bad shape. I mean, if I wash that off, it probably wouldn't be too bad. So what you could do, if you've got a seriously gunked up wick, then you could just connect it to your battery. Well, give it a rinse off, give it a dry off, connect it to your battery like so. There we go. And if you do that for long enough, dry burn your coil off. And you could end up with a clean coil. See how the wicks, the coil's now starting to glow. And what you're doing there is you're just cleaning it off. Now, dry burning will work to a degree. Yeah. So there we go. You see there's like 3, 4 coils on there. There's 4 wraps on that coil, which tells me that's probably 4 wraps on that coil. That's probably 0.15. It might be, yeah, I'd say 0.15. It could even be 0.12mm wire. So there you are. There's a clean atomizer coil, and that will work. So, I mean, I've done it in this order on purpose. That'll work. So I could quite happily push that back on here and vape away. Now, what I've got here is just a small pocket knife blade. I always carry one of these around with me. It's actually part of a Victorinox, Swiss Army knife card set thing. Now, can you see? Pull that out there, and there's your cable. There's your wire. And that's your positive wire going through to the coil. So that's definitely soldered. You don't, by the way, you must be careful. If this rubber plug might come out. If it does, do not lose it. If you lose it, you will not get this working again. Basically, that plug there is an isolator between the negative, which is the outer shell of the atomizer, and the positive. And if You lose that, then you're going to get a short. So, as I've found the positive, let's have a look for the negative. Now, I actually found that the negative in here, I'll get a pair of tweezers because it's a bit more. This is just going to destroy it, but it doesn't matter. Now, you see there? Just get rid of the wick. The negative is actually just the end of the cable, end of the wire here. I'll bring it in closer so you can see. It's the end of the wire here, and it's just folded over a little so that when this whole section here is pushed in, this makes contact with the side. So it's just a mechanical connection. It's not actually fixed with any solder, but the wire that's used here that goes to your coil is soldered. Don't know if you can make that out here. It's a little bit of a mess, but there's a solder blob just here. Try and bring this closer to camera. There's a solder point here and a solder point on this side too. Now, what that basically means is you've got an atomizer construction that is similar in some respects to the IATI, in that there's a combination of resistance and non-resistance wire. So, knowing that, to replace the coil, that's exactly what we have to do. Now, there's a silicon plug there that everything runs through, and we must not lose that either. At this stage, I'm going to have to break the solder connection, otherwise you can't do anything. And because I've destroyed the coil anyway, I'm just going to yank it off and pull that out. And then what we need to do is actually pull the wire out from in there, get a pair of tweezers, because this wire is just threaded through this silicon plug. You have your centre hole here, and that will line up with the ventilation, and you've got a hole there and a hole there. Now this is the equivalent of the ceramic cup from a clearomizer, but it's made out of silicon, so it's not going to burn, but it's a little less durable, so we have to be careful with that piece. I'm just going to run that under the tap, and I'll tell you what I'll do so I don't lose it. I'm going to hold it like that in the tweezers. And what we have here is there's your atomizer base, which forms the negative terminal. There's the positive terminal end. Now don't forget, there is a separate section inside there. I've left the rubber bung inside there. The first time I did this, I took that out and I nearly lost it all the time, so better just to leave it in there. We have the silicon cup, we'll call it, and the atomizer cap. So all we need to do now is to fix up a new wick and coil, and thread it through and attach it. So the thing to do now is to make a new coil and wick assembly. Now to do that, you need a piece of wick. I've always got some wick lying around. Now I use a straightened out safety pin paper clip. straighten out paperclip. And then what I've got here is a piece of wire. Now you'll see that it's a little thicker here and here, and that's because this is a combination of resistance and no resistance wire, the same way that you would use for an IATI. This wire here is no resistance, this wire here is no resistance, and they're just twisted together with the resistance wire in the middle. Now I'm actually using 0.15mm nickel chrome or nichrome wire, and it measures just over 3 centimeters here. Now that whole piece there will comprise the coil, and that should give me around about 1.8 ohms. Now 0.15mm nichrome has got a resistance of 60 ohms per meter, which is 0.6 ohms per centimetre, so therefore 3 centimetres, 1.8 ohms. So that puts it into the low resistance category, obviously. Now all I'm going to do here is I'm going to make a quick and dirty coil. Again, put the wick on top of the paperclip there, take my resistance wire. Now what I'll do here is, where it's thickest, I just rest that right up against onto the paperclip, and that gives me a firm base to start making the coils. Now all I need to do here is quickly, and I'm doing it quickly, I don't want to do the coils too tight, but they need to be fairly close together because I've got a restricted space for the coil to go into. And I'll talk a little about that in a second. And just carry on winding or wrapping until your resistance wire touches the paperclip. I keep saying safety pin. At the other side. So there you have the coil. Now that's quite wide, but what I do is I tend to space it out like that. Makes for easier winding, and then just hold on with one side and push in the other. You can give a tug on the wick just to stop it from getting caught too much. But what you end up with is a nice coil with all of the wraps nicely bunched together but not quite touching. Okay. Now what we need to do is thread these ends through the holes in the silicone cup. Now all I'm doing here is I'm pushing this right up. You have to be careful because you'll get a bit of resistance where you've got the wrapped wire. So you need to just tug on it gently and hold the silicone cup in place. Don't tug on it hard, but if you've wrapped it properly, if you've wrapped the resistance and no resistance wire properly, it will take a little bit of pulling, not too much, but a little bit. So you see the first piece is through the silicone cup there. So just need to get a second piece through without destroying it. This is probably the second most fiddly bit, and I'll take you on to the most fiddly bit in a minute. Did I hear somebody say faff? I didn't say there wasn't going to be any faff. Right. And this was all, even with the first one that I did. There we go. That was a little difficult. Now you'll notice I've left the paperclip in. Left the paperclip in so there's not, so don't end up pulling the coils out during that whole process. But there we go. One atomizer coil. positive and negative. At this stage, it doesn't matter. I'm just going to trim a little bit of excess off there. Please don't snip the whole wire. Squeeze that together. Don't want that to break. Okay. So there's your new atomizer coil. Whoops. Atomizer coil sitting in the silicone cup, ready for the next stage. Now I'm going to make sure that the wire is actually bent inwards a little bit, and that's just to make sure that it's not going to touch the sides of the atomizer chamber here when it goes in. And then I'm just going to thread that straight through the middle like so. Now another good reason for using the paper clip is, if I take that out a little, you can see that there are slots cut into here, and that's where the wick goes. Now by using that as a guide, I basically know which way I need to position it. I mean, I've got the wick there already, but it helps me from pushing everything through too much and destroying it. And all I'm doing here, as you see, is I'm just gently pushing that in. Now you need to make sure that this section here, containing your negative, goes in properly. Now if it doesn't, use the paper clip to pull the whole section out again, so you can start the whole process again. But you see what I've done? I've actually, when I put it in, I've kind of twisted and I've loosened that section there, so I need to tighten it up. I need to try that again. Didn't get it on the first attempt, but I needed to show you as well that it was safe to pull on the paper clip. Don't yank it, of course, but just pull on it to get everything back. So try to keep that lined up. Make sure that's firmly down. And there you have. The negative connection is now made, and the positive connection is coming out the bottom. Now, if you really have a mind to, you can solder the positive terminal on. I'm not of a mind to. I really don't like the idea of soldering unless I can absolutely help it. And the problem is with soldering, in my opinion, is that turns a repairable into a non-repairable. It's not as if you carry a soldering iron around in your pocket while you're out and about. Granted, this isn't something that you'd want to be doing while you're out and about, but there you go. And all I've done here, just slide the positive in, and that's a push fit. Simple as that. Now, you've got a choice. You can basically snip the wire off there and leave it as it is, or you can wrap the wire around the positive. Now, I'll admit, with the first one, I just snipped the wire off quite low down, and you know what, I'm going to do exactly the same again. I'm not too fussed about making that a wire tight connection, so what I'll do is I'll just snip off the wire and leave off a little bit of the wire sticking up just here, a little piece of the wire there, and I'll press that in there into one of the slots and curve it upwards. And by doing that, I'm still going to get the connection. Now that doesn't look very secure, But once it's screwed onto your battery, like that, that's going to be clamped between the positive of the battery and the positive of the atomizer. At this stage, moment of truth, put your thumb down on top of the coil, do not press the button. Do not press the button. Speaking from experience now, that will hurt. Just lightly tug paperclip out, leaving your coil there. Just need to test it now, see if it works. Presto! So all that remains there is for us to push back on top this cap. Like so. Trim off the wick. Now remember, the original one doesn't have very long wick. Now at this point you can customise things if you wish. I wouldn't personally, because if you're using a different wick than the one that they use inside, and invariably you are doing, you might not have such problems with wicking with VG juices, as Andy discovered. And I'm just trimming that right down. So, nice pair of ears there. Check it's still working. Yes, I'm dry burning. There we go. Job done. So, I'm going to take my chamber and some juice, fill it up. Like so. Now, you might find that you need to tease that in a little bit. You see my wick's a bit big, but that's okay. Don't pull too hard, but you should be able to just trim it down a bit further. And now that should go in without any problems. Take the mouthpiece. Check it still works. And we should be good to go. Let's have a look. Now I'm going to do this all in one shot so you can see I'm not faking it. Hello. One repaired Rockstar atomizer. Let's get the airflow right first, shall we? There's the airflow done. See how she waits. And there we have it. What to do with a faulty Rockstar atomizer or a dead Rockstar atomizer. One thing I will say, since I made that video, there have been a couple of changes. Well, actually one change and one mistake. The change is that the atomizers are now, I think it's $8.50 or $8.99 on the Rockstar Universal website. And the original Rockstar atomizers are 3.2 or 3.4 ohms. So I was a bit out with my calculations there. And
really, considering that the original atomizers are that resistance, they do produce quite a nice vape on a regular ego battery. I mean, that's what we all used to consider as a standard resistance, say the 3 ohm range. Still using mine. It's actually due for to have the coil redone, and that probably will do. But if you remember from Dave Kay's show a couple of weeks ago, this style of atomizer that I've got on here is from the first batch of Rockstars, and these are, to my knowledge, being replaced, or at least replacements are being sent out. So it's kind of like a situation where you've got not a lot to lose, really, if both of your atomizers are wimped out and this original style. I'll just flick over to the minicam again. If your atomizers are this style atomizer, where it's the thicker rim, then my understanding is that they're going to replace one or both of them, or send out replacements for them. So in that situation, I've nothing to lose whatsoever. And when I did that video, it was really just after David mentioned that on his show, so seemed good timing. But it's a principle that can be applied in similar atomizers of that type. If you've a mind to, you could do it with a clear atomizer. I don't know why you would want to. I mean, I'm not a lover of Clearos. Andy from the Vapor Mist knows that because I gave him all of mine. I just couldn't be doing with them anymore, to be honest with you. But, that's me. Other people like them, other people love them, and that's great. So anyway, different look at the Rockstar. I hope you found it informative. And as you'll see, still working, a little less vapor than before, but going great. Something else I didn't really point out on that video as well was the first one that I repaired, the push fit on the top. The reason I kept highlighting about not squeezing was because I did, so I had to kind of reform the first one, and I stuck with it because I only had 2 chances to get this right. So, but it worked out. But the first one is looking a little worse for wear. It's just about watertight and just about usable, which is great. So, hey, well, time's really pressed on. Believe it or not, that video I had to edit a few times because the original first cut was about an hour, and I don't think you guys would have appreciated it. But it's going to be there for reference to anybody who wants to watch it again in the archive on the site. And yeah, I hope it's of use to you. Right, well, not so long left to go, so I've taken myself a bit by surprise because I think I might have exhausted all my material for the moment, but that's cool. Always have something in backup, he says. So, talk a little bit. I mean, I think you've all seen these. It's a lava tube, for those of you who don't know. And I don't know if you watched Hi-Fi's show the other night when he looked at the voltages and the wattages generated by the lava tube. I thought that was absolutely riveting. It was a fantastic watch. I actually really like the fact that now I can just leave this at 6 volts and it's going to give me the best that it can give for whatever atomizer or cartomizer I put on it. At the moment I've got, what tank is this? That's a Challenger tank, or a Puff Daddy tank. They're both the same tank types. I've actually got a 1.25 ohm cartomizer in there, which is the first time I've ever come across a cartomizer like that. poppy, but not bad at all. Not bad at all. So now I'm starting to panic because I've run out of things to say. No, I'm joking. No, I'm not actually. No, I've got loads of things that I'm going to cover in future shows. I mean, you're all no doubt aware that I'm a lover of repairable atomizers. So some that I'm going to cover are atomizers like the RTA and the IATI and different ways of trying to get the best out of them, really. I've also just spotted that somewhere along the line, I'm sorry, Dave, I've got juice on the keyboard. Only a little, sorry. I've got to be nice. I've got to be nice to Dave, to Hi-Fi. I've got one of his Macs. And it was actually really fantastic. We drove down last Tuesday, I think. Yes, it was Tuesday, after the problems I had last week. So we can make sure that we got the show out to you. He's lent me one of his Macs. I'm eternally grateful, and I'm a bit of a convert now. Oh well. But I messed these up earlier, so let's just run through them again, starting with the first of the Daves. His show's coming up in just a few minutes, so here's some trailers.
Hey up, are you alright? We'll be right there. Put a silly hat on.
And good evening, one and all. Here we are with tonight's VTTV.
And quite a few questions coming in already.
Yes, going live in 3, 2, 1. Pardon me, please.
Well, I've cut that short. Sorry again, Dave, and sorry for the echo. I've just spotted that they ran out of time. So I'd just like to thank you all for tuning in. Thank you so much for your patience last week and for your support throughout the week. And I'd like to thank the rest of the Vapor Trails team for all of their help and support too. Couldn't have done it without them. But that's it for me now tonight. End of my first show. I hope you enjoyed, and I look forward to seeing you all again. Until then, bye for now.